Nick Darr here with Big Z Media. Hope you enjoy the episodes of Business Over Brew, and pleased to have the Riverbend Growth Association as the sponsor of this program. Our missions are kind of the same, really. We're attempting to educate people about business, foster business in the Riverbend community. The Big Z has been a member of the Growth Association forever, probably back to our inception as a company almost. We have always been members of the Growth Association, have gotten a lot of benefits from it. There's so many networking opportunities you can take advantage of. I've met so many great people just because I've been a member of the Growth Association and taken advantage of all the events that they have, plus just some of the resources they provide you, the relationships you build, just lots of great reasons to join the Growth Association. They do a lot of great things in the community as well. They highlight a different nonprofit every month. So really, they're just invested in the community here, and especially the small business community, which is what Business Over Brew is really all about, which is helping the small business community, because it's so important to any community to have a thriving business community. And the Growth Association has really helped with that. If you want more information about joining or events that might be coming up, they have events all the time that you should definitely take advantage of. I'm going to give you the website to go to. Just head to growthassociation.com. You can get a membership directory. You can see who's taking advantage of it. You can see about the events that are there, learn more about possibly becoming a member. Or if you already are a member, you can find out what's going on with the Growth Association at growthassociation.com. So just again, big thank you to the Riverbend Growth Association for sponsoring Business Over Brew. Welcome to Business Over Brew. My name is Nick Darr. Pleased to be joining you from the Great Rivers Tap and Grill. Excellent restaurant here inside the Best Western Premier. Terrific menu, great pizza, great chicken strips. I don't get chicken strips anywhere, but here that's all I get because they have like the best chicken strips in the world. So if you come here, try the chicken strips. Pleased to be joined in this episode by a great friend of mine, Tammy Iskarous, Executive Director of Riverbend Family Ministries. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely.
Gosh, I don't know where to start because there's so much, but I guess we can start with just tell us how Riverbend Family Ministries got started, because that is a super interesting story to me.
Yeah, it started back in 2006. Actually, we still own TR's Cafe down in Wood River, and a couple of friends and I got together, and I had been on the board of some smaller nonprofits and had done some mission work and things, in our community and abroad. And so mission was always a big part of my life. And we had a couple of friends had a conversation and said, what would it look like if we put some smaller things together and did this work together? And I thought, I think that could work. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, but I'm comfortable at TR's. I don't want to do this. And we just kept being poked and really, God just kept poking at me to continue to think about doing this work and going outside the boat, as if you will, and starting RFM and putting these nonprofits together. And so a girlfriend and I started that back in 2007. And it looks totally different than we anticipated it looking right then. But all the same, it has grown into what it is today, from 2 people working in that building, literally 2 people, myself and one other person, to now we have about 50 people that work in that building at any given time.
I specifically wanted you to tell the Red Sea story, though. Can you tell that story?
I can 100% tell the Red. I didn't know how much time we had.
Well, because I thought I'd probably only have to ask one question, and then you'd take it from there.
No, we had a really great cafe, and we really took care of our families. We took care of our employees. We had a lot of single moms. We had college students that worked for us. And so we would pay their insurance, and we would, we really took care of our food staff. They took good care of us, and they took care of our community. And I realized that the opportunity or the calling that I like to say to do RFM continued. I knew that our families, how would they survive?
Right.
How would things go? What would their lives look like? Would somebody come in and take care of them like we had taken? So I was really worried about our families. And my husband's from Egypt, and
He's been on this show. He was a good guest.
He is. He's a good guy.
He is that too.
And so anyway, we go to Egypt about every year, every 2 years, and every time we go, we're there for 2 or 3 weeks. And so Retta's always really great about getting me away at a resort somewhere in those 2 to 3 weeks, because it can be pretty chaotic. And so we got away, and we're sitting at the foot on the beach, where it's my favorite place to be in the world, is my feet in the sand, in the water. It's my favorite place to be. And our church family was reading through the Bible chronologically in a year. And I didn't want to get behind. And so I took my Bible, I took our study guide, and we were reading the exact same thing that my church family was reading in Bethalto. And I opened my Bible, and I had been praying, God, you've got to really let me know if this is from you. I'm about to do a life-changing thing.
Right.
For not just me and my family, but for a lot of families. And I need to know this is from you, because those of you that know me know that I can pick up a phone and make it happen myself. But this big of a move, my faith demanded that it was truly God's calling on my life, and not just something that I wanted to do. And so we are feet in the sand. I opened my Bible to the exact same place that my church family was reading, and it was where Moses was standing at the foot of the Red Sea, and the Egyptians had escaped out of Israel, and the Israelites were coming after them with chariots and trying to get them back because they wanted them to stay as slaves. And here they were at the foot of the Red Sea, getting ready to cross. And just the miracle that is. And I'm praying, God, I just need to hear your voice. Now, this wasn't I just opened my Bible. This is the exact same thing that they were reading. And as clear to my heart, as clear to my heart. My grandma used to say, that voice that you know that you know. It wasn't some loud, audible voice. It was that still small voice to my heart that says, if I can part the body of water that you're looking at, what makes you think I can't take care of them? And at that moment, Nick, I knew that God was in the details of this. I knew my feet were standing at the foot of the Red Sea. I was reading in my Bible that my friends were reading thousands of miles away at the exact same day. A coincidence? No. Right. God's calling on my life, 100% yes. Now, poor Retta, he's been on this show before,
right,
and he goes up to get lunch, and he leaves me in my happy place, and he comes back with like sandwiches and soda, and I am crying. I mean, I look like a glazed donut. It's that ugly cry, right. That Jesus cry. And he's like, what happened?
Did I get the wrong sandwich? Or?
He thought maybe somebody had messed with me at the beach, or, he goes, I loved you in your happy place. What happened? And I said, it's done. It's done. And at that moment, we knew that our lives were about to change, that God had really, really called me to step into that next journey. And we came back and we sold the cafe when small nonprofits, especially restaurants, weren't selling. Businesses were bellying up in 2007 and 2008. I mean, there just wasn't anything selling, and we sold it turnkey very fast. And then by July, August, we were starting TR or RFM.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is fast forwarding a lot, but the craziest thing is then a couple of years ago, you bought that building back.
Yeah. In 2019, we had the opportunity. Y'all on the board wouldn't give me a hammer anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You had a huge gavel that I could have used as
Right.
a hammer, probably, right?
You could have knocked down a couple walls with it, I think. At least put a couple holes in them.
Yeah, but I had knocked down all the walls y'all would let me knock down.
Right.
They told me they were load bearing at that point, and I couldn't knock any more down.
But you did. I know you always think big. Did you think when you started it that, hey, someday it's gonna be much bigger than this, or did you think this is what I'm called to do right now, or what?
That's a great question, because I've always been a visionary, and I've always thought big.
Mm-hmm.
And in my own thought, like, what would this look like if it was bigger, if we had more room and we could do some
Right.
educational components? But we were so busy doing the day-to-day that at the beginning, I didn't think, oh, let's do this on a grand scheme and be so much bigger. However, as the organizations, God just brought some incredible organizations on board that
Right.
really wrapped around the mission of RFM, and some incredible people that worked with our families in crisis, from all ages, from cradle to grave. Worked with in all ages in between, worked with families of crisis or trauma due to so many varying things. And so, no, I didn't. But when we when we ran out of space, we looked at a bunch of different places around the Riverbend. I mean, we looked in Wood River, we looked in Alton, we looked in we really looked all over Madison County. We looked at a space in Edwardsville. Although my heart wanted to stay in Wood River, we couldn't find anything. And I remember Wiley Davis walking out August 1st meeting, that our meetings are the first week of the month.
Tuesday.
And he walks out of the August meeting and he says, wouldn't it be cool if we had that building across the street?
Right.
Well, there was a tea room in that building, and it was operating and it was doing fine, and there was no mention of selling. And I'm like, oh, that would be full circle.
Right.
That would be really great. That was 2019.
So not long after.
In August of 2019, the middle of August, there was a sign on the door, no prompting, no conversation, that said, we will be closing at the end of August. God,
Right.
we call those God winks at our building.
Sure.
Just really God moments. And so, to stand in that building, it just feels like full circle.
I want to ask you a couple of questions that I think will be helpful to business owners that might be watching the show. But for those that don't know, if you've never heard of Riverbend Family Ministries or not familiar with it at all, just talk a little bit about what it is, what the mission is, and what you guys do down there.
Yeah. We have 10 small nonprofits all under one roof that work with families in crisis due to violence, addiction, homelessness, poverty, to get those families, to walk along those families and get them to a place of safety and health and wholeness. And we do that by all the organizations wrapping around those families, whether it be our 0 to 11-year-olds that have been exposed to violence, whether it be our teenagers who have used violence to resolve conflict, whether it be our families of addiction, whether it be our homeless to move them from homelessness to housing, and all aspects in between. We have licensed counselors. We have organizations that will come in and help put in air conditioners and ramps and hot water heaters. I can buy one. Our client service department, which works with that basic hierarchy of need, whether it be rental assistance, utility assistance, tires on the van, gas on the car, we can buy an air conditioner. I can buy the wood. But I have demonstrated over and over again, you should never give me a power tool. You don't want me building it.
Right.
I can pay for it, but you don't want me building it. And so we have this group called Mountains to Molehills that has come in, and it's a group of guys that are very talented, connected to various trades and organizations, that they'll go in and assess a family's need, and they'll go in and put those hot water heaters in, build that ramp, put in an air conditioner, fix some wiring that needs to be done. Because a lot of time with our low income families, that's so cost prohibitive, the labor to do those things. And so many of our families go without hot water. They boil it on the stove.
Right.
Or they live in a situation in a trailer that the wiring may be a little sketch and very dangerous. We had one family that there was some live wires outside of the trailer that if some of their small kids playing would have touched, it could have been very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of our guys who are know a lot about electricity and brought in some other trades were able to get that fixed and at least make that safer for some of our families. But we just do that all together under one roof.
3 questions that I have related to that I think can help business owners, and that'll probably take up the rest of our time if I know you. But the first one is, we think as business owners that we see run into some difficult times and see things that are, challenging, maybe tend to feel sorry for ourselves. You see some absolutely heartbreaking things that I think most of us couldn't even imagine, but yet you are the most positive, energetic person that I think, certainly that I know. How do you deal with that? It's got to be tough to see some of the heartbreaking things you see and still maintain that level of positivity and energy.
Wow, that is such a layered question. I think, Nick, a lot of it is my faith that I've been called to do this work.
Right.
I think part of it is the lens in which I have been able to look through my life. There's been a lot of life experiences that have given me a little different lens than some other people. That has allowed me to know the impact an adult can make in someone's life if they lean in and listen to a child, to a teenager, to a family in crisis. If we lean in and listen, we won't have all the answers, but that person becomes visible and we're able then to surround them. I think another part that I have been allowed to just have, and people ask me, I've been asked this question so many times, you work with so many hard cases, how do you ever sleep at night? I think God allows me to leave our building knowing I've done the best I could do today.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to solve all these problems overnight.
Right.
I've done the best I could do today. Tomorrow's another day. Yeah, there's times that there's cases that eat my lunch. I mean, there definitely are. But I also know that I am surrounded by a community and an organization of organizations that continue to lean into our families of crisis, continue to have the ear of our legislators and our city officials and other social service agencies that we can call, especially if we realize a community need. And we are blessed to have a voice at that table to say, how do we change this?
Right.
How do we work to make an impact on our families? So we do the best we can and know that we're doing the best we can. And I think that gives us hope for the next day. So I think that's
good.
How I get it done.
Yeah. The second question is we had a ribbon cutting that I was at last week, and
that's crazy.
Everybody there said, I can't believe how many people. Well, it wasn't that we couldn't believe it. It was just like that's Tammy. That's how she's such a connector. So how do you foster those relationships in the community that obviously are so instrumental to what you do at RFM?
Because I believe community is everything. I believe that God created us to be in community. And I think that's important, not only for people to realize what RFM is and who they are, but their purpose and their ability to give back, and other people's ability to sow into the good of Madison County, because there's so much good in Madison County.
Mhm.
And so I love networking, and I love being a part of a lot of different organizations, to share, because if you don't know what's happening in your community, how can you make your community better? So I love being a part of Rotaries and other social service agencies, the Juvenile Justice Council, and other social service agencies in our area, to be able to bring those needs to the table. And Friday was just crazy to see all of
That's great.
those circles
Right.
come together in one place. My heart, I don't know that I came down off that high at all until I went to bed that night.
You mentioned being a visionary, and you do such a great job of rallying support around and selling that vision. Is there an intentional part of that that is, I don't want to say practiced or rehearsed, but obviously you don't just show up and start talking about it, or maybe you do.
Here's what I know. We talk about things we're passionate about. You ask a grandma about her grandkids,
Right.
you're going to get your ear bent all day long, and there's
Sure.
probably going to be like a thing of pictures come out.
Right.
If, somebody loves shoes, they're going to tell you about the latest shoes. They're going to tell you about the sales. They're going to tell you about, if you like golf, you're going to know all the players. You're going to know the scores. You're
Right.
going to play golf. You're going to make every opportunity to get in those circles of golfers. And it's easy to talk about things we're passionate about. I am passionate about the work that happens at RFM. So it's easy for me to talk
Right.
about it. Yeah, sometimes it's some of the things you say over and over and over, because they're just part of
Right.
what the organization is.
Hmm.
But I love talking about RFM, about our littles that come through, about our teenagers whose lives are changed, about our families of addiction that we have literally drug out of a gutter or out of a bathtub, various situations, and to watch them clean and sober and healthy and reunited with their families, and now being a part of a team that is helping other people become sober and clean. So that one person can change the life of the next person, which changes the lives and the trajectory of somebody else, which changes generation upon generation. I am that person. I had somebody lean into me that allowed me to change the trajectory of my life, which changed my children's life, my grandchildren's life. They are on a total different trajectory because people poured into me.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that. And God's just allowed me just the opportunity to serve and to build this. And yeah, he gave me a lot of energy. And
Well, we're certainly glad he did. There's lots of ways that folks can support and help Riverbend Family Ministries. What are some ways they can do that?
Volunteer. There's a lot of ways. Come down, be involved, volunteer, whether it be come in if you've got a couple of hours during a week and say, hey, I got a couple of hours, I will put you to work.
Mm-hmm.
I will find
something.
I will find something for you to do.
Right.
Say you have a business or an office and your team wants to get together. There's lots of events and lots of cleanup days and things that we have that you can get your group together. Or if you want to stock our closet, our supply closet with toiletries and cleaning supplies, paper products, you can throw a shower in your office and get those things together. Say your company wants to get together and donate. Or your church, your organization. We do monthly partners. and that can be anywhere from, a couple of dollars a month to, we've got organizations that every quarter they will send in $1,000. So no dollar is too small and no check is too big. It's for
Keep that in mind.
keep that in mind. Because it all goes into the work and the programming of RFM.
I'll just say I was president of the board for 2 years, I guess. And just when I first got on the board, and I've seen the looks on people's faces, new board members that come in and say, we're giving it all away. We're operating at a loss. You realize that? So the money all goes to help people in the community. It's amazing. It was an amazing board to be on, just in terms of, your eyes being open to every dollar goes to help somebody.
It really, really does. And people say, oh, you have this big new building
that's not an extravagance, so that's a necessity.
It's a necessity, but also we were very careful to say we've got a capital campaign, and then we have our program services.
Right, sure.
And those two didn't mix. We still have a capital campaign going to help pay for some of the renovations that we've done. And that is completely separate. So we would love for some of our donors' money and investors to be able to go to that. But also know that if you want your donation to go to a young mom with a child that's struggling, it's going to go to a young mom with a child that's struggling.
Wrapping it up real quick, talk about the $5 a day for 5 days a week program that people can be involved in to help with the new building.
Yeah, our renovation costs, we've still got a little bit left on that, and our goal this year is to raise $200,000 by the end of this year. It will go towards our renovation and our capital campaign. We've got $500,000 left. This was a $2 million project, just shy of $2 million, and it would never have been completed without the volunteerism and the donations from some amazing individuals. However, we've got about $500,000 left to pay off over the next few years, but our goal this year is $200,000 of that by 2023. Into 2023, we have an anonymous donor that said they will match up to $100,000 if we can raise $100,000 by the end of 2023. So come on, families, come on, community. There's money on the table. There's $100,000 on the table.
If they want to make a donation, what's the easiest way to do that?
They can go to our website, call my cell phone, go to the website, riverbendfamilyministries.com, call the office, 618-251-9790, or get a hold of anybody that works there.
Well, Tammy, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
The community is blessed to have you, and I am blessed to call you a friend.